if anybody has any issues with any sessions being recording, because we have different set of participants, we have everybody around. So if anybody has any objection with the session being recorded, you can let me know in the chat box. If not, we can begin the session. So I'd like to introduce myself, because of course you're going to be listening to me the next 40 minutes or so. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Reshma. I am a Google certified educator and also a Google certified trainer applicant. And I'm here with a Teach and Reach project. I provide trainings to schools and individuals where I teach them about Google tools that can be used in education, background, or in your classrooms. So how well can Google tools or technology in general can be used in your classroom? So that's what I do. And I have an international teaching diploma, and I'm also a Cambridge certified TKTYL certified teacher. Also have a bachelor's in technology. Worked as a software engineer earlier in companies like Accenture and TCS. So basically, I'm an educator by choice. I love learning and sharing. So what I am doing is I am giving free workshops to teachers who might not be knowing what is Google Forms or some tools like Google Sites and Jamboards, which in turn will help their students. So that's my attempt here. Also, I'd also like to know about you. I can see that many people are from different places around the world. So I'd just like to know what is your expectation from this workshop, or what is that one thing that you're looking forward to in the chat box. Since we have many participants here, I'd like to know it from your in the chat box, your expectations, or what are you looking forward to, or what do you want to learn from the workshops. We have two more workshops tomorrow and the day after on two other different tools. So I'd like to know what is your expectation, or what do you want to learn. Also, if somebody has joined just now, please enter your email ID in the chat box so that I can roll out the certificate of participation after the workshop. So yes, I'd like to know you, what are your expectations? Anybody? Nobody has no expectations? Yes. Okay. We have one response from Rashmi ma'am. She wants to create Google Forms for assessment that can make children excited to take the assessment. That's great. So I have dealt with children where many assessments, formative and summative, have been given in the form of Google Forms. And yes, so making it interesting, colorful, engaging would be a really helpful thing. How to handle the control panel of G Forms? So I think by control panel, you mean settings, probably. Measure learning and create graphs. That's great. We can also do that. Websites. Okay, Neelam ma'am is here for websites. So that's going to be covered in the upcoming workshops tomorrow, day after tomorrow. For a job, so want to learn this to add to my skills. Yes, definitely this is something that's required in the education space now. So hopefully this would be helpful for your next job as well. So yes, we have a few more joinees. Whoever has joined just now, please drop in your email ID so that I can roll out the certificate after the workshop. So thanks for your inputs. So many of you are here to learn so that you can benefit your students in turn. So that's a great intention, first of all. And also, as teachers, we're continuous learners, so that we can do something new, we can engage our students, and we can impart our knowledge or impart our lessons in a better way. And also assessments, as you all know, and as you all might be agreeing, that is a core part of learning. As we learn, we also have to assess ourselves. At the same time, as we teach, we also have to assess our students, whether they are understanding, or on which level are they, who needs better, or who needs differentiation, and who needs advanced concepts to be rolled out. So this is something that's core, and in every style of teaching there's some form of assessment or not. Some might have formal assessments, some schoolings or some styles of education might have informal assessment, but somehow assessment is a part and parcel of learning. So how many of you agree? Can you raise your hand if you agree that assessments are a core part of learning and teaching? Yes, I can see. Yes, many of you are raising your hand. So yes, now Earlier, when we thought about assessments, or in when we were in schools, assessment would be paper and pencil kind of an assessment, where you'd be getting a question paper and a booklet or a set of papers where you have to just fill in what you remember. So that would be mainly dependent upon your memory. It would be dependent on your knowledge retention, and sometimes also about skills. So that was covered. Now, as we have moved on, and as we are going into activity based learning and also interactive learning and group based learning, we'd like to assess different skills. We want to also cater visual learners, audio learners, kinetic learners, kinesthetic learners, and different other learners as well. As I won't be getting into that nitty gritty, because you all are teachers and you all know what are the different kind of learners and how we need to cater to each type of learner. Here we will be now, if we look into current day scenario, we are relying extremely on the internet, right? Most of you must be doing online teaching, right? How many of you do online teaching, and how many of you have recently moved to offline after this pandemic? So you can let me know online or offline in the chat box. Blended, yes, we are also, yes, there are many schools that are going for blended also, based on the situation, based on the preference. Online, great. Yes, whatever the situation demands, it would be either online, offline, or blended. So most 70% it's either online or blended, right? So we are relying on technology now, and we as teachers should be knowing all the functionalities or all the capabilities in this space, so that we can give out the best. Now, Google Forms is one such tool that makes assessments very easy. Now let me tell you what are we going to cover in this session. Okay, so these are the objectives of Google Forms. Now this can be used by teachers, educators, school leaders, or academic coordinators. So by learning these objectives, you'd be able to benefit your students. That's what my aim is, and I hope this is a common aim for both of us. So we'll be looking at we have completed our welcome part, where we have introduced each other, not very extensively but a little bit, so I know that there are people from different cities and you're having online and offline blended learning, and also there are math, science teachers, head teachers. That's great. So next thing is we are going to cover introduction to Google Forms. So what is Google Forms, how can you access it? Next we are going to move on to features. What are the features inside Google Forms? We will also be seeing applications. So not just learning about the tool, we should also be knowing how to use it with different kinds of learners. Now when I say different kind of learners, I'm not referring to kinesthetic, visual, or audio, or spatial learners. I'm talking about higher grade, secondary, pre-primary, primary, that way. How can this be applied? Also we'll be seeing with respect to subject. So if you're a language teacher, how can you type in different languages? If you're a math teacher and you want the students to solve, how are you going to expect the response? So we are going to see the application part. The next thing is a bonus. So we have a concept of flipped classroom. How many of you know what is a flipped classroom? Does anybody know? You can just raise your hand if you know what is a flipped classroom. I'll lower everybody's hand so that, yeah, I can see the responses. Does anybody know what is a flipped classroom? If not, it's all right. We will be covering that. All right, so we'll be seeing what is a flipped classroom and how can Google Forms easily create a flipped classroom. So basically, flipped classroom is where you give out the content or piece of information that the student already knows, but by adding a little more information to it in form of videos, in form of documents, pictures, and then assessing them. Yes, it is a form, or it falls under along with the blended learning. So in blended, you have yes, that's great. So in blended, you have offline, online, and you use different types of strategies so that you have a mixture. In the same way, flipped classroom is where if the child has internet access at their home, you can leverage it and deliver a few concepts using flipped classroom. So that's also something we are going to cover. And finally, you're going to receive your certificates. That would be after the workshop. So yes, if you haven't given your email ID, please give your email ID in the chat box. So yes, let's begin with introduction to Google Forms. So Google Forms is basically a free tool. Now many of you might not know, or some of you might know, or and if you are using it, you might know that Google Forms is completely free. Also, Google Forms is something that's already there with your Google account. So if you have a Google account, which you already have because you have joined the Google Meet, so that means you already have a Google account. That is an email ID at which has at gmail.com. So if you're having a Gmail ID, that means you have access to Google Forms already. All you have to know is you have to start using it. That's all. You have to know how to access it and how to create a blank form. So basically, Google Forms is a platform where you can create questionnaires, surveys, quizzes, and exit ticket. Now, if you are a teacher who has, that who has that classroom pattern where you have introduction, main course, and summary, so we usually use something called as exit tickets. So we can also create exit tickets. All of these can be done using Google Forms. So let's see. So I'll not be showing the presentation anymore. It's going to be more of a, as I said, it's a workshop. So I will be working through the tool so that you can look at the tool. If you want, you can make notes and follow through. So I will show you how to open Google Forms. So I hope everybody is able to see my screen. What I'll do is, some of you might not be able to see it. So I'll share the screen again. Yes, there are extra benefits of Google Form. One main thing, or one thing, as I told you, is it's really it's free. It's free for you and your students. So you both can use it parallelly. You all can be on the same page. You can share it. You can collaborate with your fellow educators. That is, if me, Rashmi ma'am, and Noor ma'am wants to create a single auto correction and recording of marks. Yes, that's also there. And you can also integrate it with Google Sheets. That is, you can track the responses and you can make charts, graphs, analysis on top of it. Also, if you're not a teacher and probably a head or a head of the department or a coordinator who wants to make an analysis of student progress, instead of having to record it in a separate sheet or doing some manual work, you can do it all by integration of Google Sheets. So let's see what is Google Forms. So as I told you, we'll be going step by step as I've shown you the agenda here. So we'll be going in steps. We'll see the introduction to Google Forms, that is how to access it and what is it. Next, we'll see step-by-step features, and then we'll see applications. Then, if time permits, we'll also see what is a flipped classroom, and you'll get your certificates after the workshop. So yes, let's see how to access Google Forms. To access Google Forms, you can either click on this waffle icon that you see here. So you can see these 9 dots. Whenever you open Google Chrome, you get these 9 dots. Okay, you can just click on these 9 dots, scroll, and you'll be finding something called as Forms. You can click there. This is one way to open Google Forms. Just in case you're not used to this 9 dots, then what you have to do is, or you are not able to find the Google Forms app here, you need not worry. You can just type forms, FORMS, forms.google.com. So here, this is tip number 1. You can say tip number 1, whenever you want to open any app, you just have to type any Google app. You have to type appname.google.com. So if I have to open forms, I can type forms.google.com. If I want to open slides, Google Slides is also another product of Google. So I'll just type slides.google.com. So let me type in the shortcut here. Tip number 1, it is product name. So whatever product you want to open, if you want to open Google Drive, you can just type drive.google.com. If you want to open Docs, Google Docs, you can just type docs.google.com. So since I want Google Forms, I will just type forms.google.com. This is one way, easy way to do it. Or you can just type, click on this waffle icon. Now, why do we call it waffle icon? Because it's interesting. It looks like a waffle, right? If you look closely, it looks like a waffle. So that's why they call it a waffle icon. So you can just click on this waffle icon, that is the 9 dots. And when you click on it, you will find all these apps here. There, you can just click on forms. So that's one way to go around it. Okay. So let's go back to the normal view. Yeah. Okay. So as I clicked on forms.google.com or clicked on the waffle icon, I got to this home page. So this is my home page of forms. This might look almost similar to you. Since I've already created multiple forms, I have these forms. These are my forms that I have created. Otherwise, this space will be empty in the center. You will have only the top category or the top row. It says start a new form. So as it already says, as the heading already says, you can create a form from here. So let's look at this home page now. Here on the top you have this logo, says forms. Here you have search. Here you will be able to search the forms. So if somebody has shared a form with you, or you have created a form in the past and you want to search it, you can just type the name of the form. So I can just type registrations. So the form that I recently used, so the form that I recently used for you to, log in for this workshop, or what do we say, register for this workshop, this was the form. So I can just search for it and find it. So that's how I can find my form. So that's the purpose of this search box. Okay, the next thing is starting new forms. Here you have blank form, and then you have some templates. Now, if you are using Canva, or if you're using any of the Google Slides or any PowerPoint or Docs, you know what is a template. Template is basically a form that is already created for you. All you have to do is open and edit it according to your requirement. So that's the purpose of templates. One is blank, where you'll not have anything. It's a completely blank form. The other things are, let's look at this template gallery. You will find different templates. So if you are in a hurry and you don't have time to customize it, style it, and do all of that, what you can do is you can just go with the template. So let's say, since we are teachers here, you can come down, you have education. So I have exit ticket, assessment, worksheet, course evaluation. So let's say I want to create a quick worksheet and I just have 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes with me. What I'll do is, instead of worksheet title, I'll give my lesson name, let's say numbers. And here, instead of the placeholder or the sample text, I can just say worksheet on numbers. So you can see the style is already there, theme, that is dark blue theme with some colored banner. Here, name, email, everything is there. Here, I want the students to know that this is about numbers. I can just click here, delete it. Yeah, you get these 3 dots. You can change it, do all of these things. Now, some of you who are new to Google Forms might be thinking, okay, what is this? What is she doing all of these at a time? We will see how to do all of this, but I'm telling you how to use templates. So I can just click on these 3 dots, insert my own image or change the image. Here, the question template is already given. So I can just ask a question, give some options. So this is how templates work. If you're a busy person and you want to just use the template that's there, all you have to do is open it and edit the text that's there, or edit the images or replace the images that's there, and you can share it clicking here. Now, you can use templates only when you know what Google Forms is and what are the features inside it, right? How many of you agree? If you don't know, yes, we'll be getting the recording of this workshop. You will be getting the recording. Okay, the link will be posted in the LinkedIn group, event group. So yes, coming back to my question, how many of you agree you will be able to use templates only if you know what are the entire features in it? How many of you agree? You can raise your hand if you agree with me. right? Only if you know what is inside, what you can do, what is the capability of tool, only then you can leverage templates. So before going on to templates, we will be seeing blank forms. Okay, we will be seeing, we'll be taking a blank form and we'll be running through it. We'll be seeing what does the buttons inside it do, that is what does each button do, how can you import different questions, how can you add media in it. So that's something which we're going to cover. So yes, that's about templates. To use any template, all you have to do is go to the forms homepage, that is forms.google.com. You'll find multiple templates here. You can just use any of the template that you want. Okay, and if you have already created any forms, it will come up here. Now you see we just created the worksheets template. So here it is there. We use the worksheet template, right? So this has come up here. So that's how your recent forms, that is all the forms that I have been using, will be coming in the center. Okay. Now let's see the blank form. Now this is the core part of our workshop. That is the main part of our workshop. We are seeing how to create a blank form, and we'll also be seeing what are the steps or what are the buttons inside a blank form. All right, I hope everybody's ready. If you want to take a notebook, you can take. Also, this session is being recorded. The video will be posted on LinkedIn, but it has terms and conditions applied. You'll get to know it. That is, it will be there for limited period. The video will be there for limited period. So yes, if you want to take notes, you are free to do so. So let's see, let's come back to step one. Step one is to create a blank form. To create a blank form, you have to click on this colorful plus icon. So just click on this colorful plus icon and it will open a blank form. So this is blank. Now, why am I calling it blank? Because there's nothing in it. It doesn't have title. It doesn't have sample questions, banner, pictures, color combinations. Nothing is there. So this is a blank form. First thing is you have to give the name of the form. So let's say today is 26th October. I'll just give this as 26th OCT so that I can remember it, and if I want, I can search for it later. One good name that you can write is you can give the section name, or if it is for 5A, let's say this is for grade 5A, you can give grade 5A. The file name will be copied here. If you want, you can change it. So the title of the form is Quiz on Animals. So let's say I'm a science teacher. This is my heading. This is the file name. So these two things are different. This is the file name. This is 26th October file name. And when you open that file, the heading would be Quiz on Animals. This is the form title. This is the file name. Okay. Next step is give a short description. Now this is optional. This is not compulsory. If I want to give any instructions to my students, I can write it here. I'm giving an obvious instruction here. Please select the correct answers. You can choose anything. You can also type enter. So you can give a paragraph or you can give a list. Whatever you want, you can do here. Okay, this is my form description. The next thing here that you see is question, adding question. So first they have given one sample blank question. To change the question, I can write here, it's given untitled question. I can write enter your name. Now you can see this has changed. Enter your name, and this has become a short answer because it's not a multiple choice question. Earlier it was like this options, but enter your name is like a blank, right? If you want in a paper, you would write it as enter your name and blank. So you have to change it to short answer. Okay, it will give them one small blank where they can write their name. Now, this is the question title. This is the question type. Okay. So if it's a short answer, it will give you a short blank. If you want them to write a paragraph, so let's change the question. Let's say explain about mammals. Okay, they might require a paragraph. They might require 2 or 3 or 4 lines, and short answer would not be enough. So I can give them as paragraph. Okay. Next thing is multiple choice. So let's see now what we're doing is we are looking at different question types that are there. Multiple choice is like select the correct option. They can select only one. Okay, like true or false. False. And you can also give multiple options like cheetah, fish, parrot. So if they have to choose a mammal, they will have to choose. So multiple choice is nothing but radio buttons. They can select one option. Okay, they can select only one option. Now let's say I've given tiger. The next thing that you have to do is check boxes. If there are more than one correct answer. So usually in tests we have select the correct answer, or we have choose two correct answers, or choose all that apply. So you can choose check boxes where the students can choose whatever answers are correct, they can choose one or more. Okay, that's about check boxes. The next thing is drop down. Now drop down and radio buttons, that is drop down and multiple choice, are the same. Now let me show you how are they same and in what ways they are different. Before I go ahead, is everybody clear with what I am saying? Is everybody clear, or can I move ahead? You can just raise your hand. Great. Okay. So if you see on top, we have something called as preview. On top, if you can see, there is a eye button, an eye icon. You can click on the eye icon. This will help you to preview the quiz. This is the drop down. Here also, they can choose one option. But the thing is, the space that it's taking is less. Okay. So let's say I make this as multiple choice and preview it. It is looking like this. All the options will be listed. You can look at the space that this question is taking. Now, whereas here, the space that it's taking is less. So, whenever you have lot of options, you can go for drop down. That's the purpose of drop down here. The next one is file upload. So, we have seen short answer, which is one line. Paragraph, it will give you three or four lines. The students can type three or four sentences. Next is multiple choice, where students can choose one correct answer. Next is check boxes. They can choose more than one correct answers, one or more or all. Okay. Next is drop down. Drop down also works like multiple choice, but the thing is it saves space. So if your test has 20 questions and each question has 4 or 5 options, it's going to take up a lot of space. The students will have to keep scrolling and there is a chance that they'll miss some questions. To avoid that, you can do drop down. Drop down will save the space here. You can see that's about drop down. Next question type is file upload. Now I want the students to explain about mammals. Draw a diagram. Okay, this can be for math. Now, drawing diagrams or writing the answer can be applied for English, math, science. So if they have to write a letter, they can't format it in the paragraph, right? They will have to write it in a paper and click a picture. So we have an option in Google Forms. What you can do is you can choose file upload. It will ask you for okay or not. You can just click on continue. So now this is a game changer here. Students can not only answer all types of questions at single place, but they can directly upload here. Instead of mailing you the picture somewhere and giving the multiple choice question somewhere, they can do everything on Google Forms. That is how file upload comes handy. So here, when you choose a file upload option, students can upload whatever they have written as a picture, as a PDF, as a video, whatever they want, they can upload. So I said explain about mammals, draw a diagram. So what they can do, let's say one student records a video and then shows the diagram that they have drawn. That is also possible. Or they can write something on the paper and below they can draw a diagram. Whatever it is, they can choose the they can upload, I mean, sorry, not choose, they can upload the answer. So look at the types that they can upload. They can do it via presentation, through a drawing, through an image, through audio, video, PDF, spreadsheet, anything can be uploaded. So if you are a teacher who is teaching higher grade students, They can also upload a PPT of whatever they know, or if about the question, whatever they want, they can upload. So basically, most used would be image, PDF, and video by the students. They can click a picture and send. They can scan all the answers and upload it as a PDF, or they can take a record a video of themselves or their work and they can attach. Whatever it is, you can choose. Now how many files it should they can upload? You can keep it as 1, 5, or 10. Now why have they given a limit here? Because let's say you have 100 students, you are teaching A, B, C, D sections, and each section there are 25 students. Now you can't let them for one answer they shouldn't be attaching 4 or 5, right? Your whole Google Drive will be loaded with pictures. So you can limit them. You can tell the students attach everything in one image only or in one PDF only and upload it in the Google form. So that can also be done. You can also restrict the size. Again, this is so that students should send you smaller files. Instead of them sending so many or a huge file, they can send a small file. Or if it's fine with you, you can also increase the file size. Depends upon your wish. But the safe thing would be 10 MB. Any file or image or video would probably be 5 or 6 MB. So that's fine. If you think that there's going to be larger files, you can also allow that. So these are the settings of file upload. So this is about uploading files. This is also useful for language teachers because students can't type it in Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, or Arabic. What they can do is they can write it in the paper and upload the file. All they have to do is have their file in the laptop and they can just upload it. As simple as that. Now, how will the students look at it? Okay, let's look at preview. The students will look at the question like this. Explain about mammals, draw a diagram. They will not have all those settings that we saw. For them, it's a simple view. They'll just click on add file, choose whatever picture it is, that is upload from computer, and upload. So as simple as that. The next thing that is there is linear. Now these things, linear scale, multiple choice grid, checkbox grid, these are mostly used for ratings or gradings. These are useful for that. Probably not for a quiz or an assessment, but for that. Let's click on linear scale. Okay, I can say feedback for my class. Okay. I can give it as 1 to 5 or 0 to 5, and I can also label it. 0 is least, 5 is highest. Okay, when I preview it, I can see after this question, I have feedback for my class. 0 is least, I can see 5 is highest. So whatever they want, they can choose the rating. That's about linear scale. In the same way, we have something called as multiple choice grid. Now here you will have rows and columns. Now let me show you how can we use this. Okay, does anybody have any doubts? Let's check the question. Languages are allowed, I guess. Yes. Yes. Okay. So here, let's see how to use a multiple choice grid. I can give rows. Now, let's take a scenario where you're a class teacher or a subject teacher who has to fill their characteristics as well, about their probably neatness, sincerity or obedience that we have, punctuality. Here in columns, you can think of it as a table. Okay, let me do this and show it to you. Sometimes, always, that is always neat. Sometimes can improve. Okay. Great. Now let's preview this and see. Now you can see neatness. I can choose it as always or sometimes or can improve. Obedience, always obedient. Punctuality. Now you can see how easily I'm able to mark this characteristics grid. Now here you can also give the proficiency levels. So if you are having proficiency chart or a Rubik Rubik chart or something like that, you can also use that using multiple choice grid. In the same way, you can also have multiple checkbox grid. It's almost the same. So it will turn into check boxes. You can check multiple boxes. So that's about multiple choice grid and multiple checkbox grid. Now this date and time, again, here you will be able to take in information in a particular format. So for date, you will have MMDDYY. For time, you will have hours and minutes. So whoever or whatever question it is, they will be able to enter in hours and minutes. And for date, it would be MMDDYY. So that's how you create multiple questions. Okay. So let's see how to create a new question. So you'll just have to click on add question button that's here. Let me zoom it in for you. Now, the next interesting part that we can see here is import questions. Now, let's say I have been using Google Forms from last year. Like some of you are saying this is basic. Now, you want about scoring assessment. Yes, I'll come back to this question for sure. Yes. So importing questions, if yes, coming back to what is importing questions. Let's say I'm a teacher who has been using Google Forms from a long time. Now, if I want to import, instead of starting from scratch, I'd like to take the questions that are already there. So what I can do is I can import. This is also a very useful trick or a tip that can be used for revisions. Now we are ending or we are coming towards the end of academic year, right? Most of us in India, it's almost done. Only half year or 40% of the year is remaining. Now if you want to import questions and make a revision form, instead of having to type all the questions, I can do something called as import questions. I'll just click on import questions. It will show different forms that I have created. Since I have a lot of forms, it will take some time. So yes, if I want to import a question from this, since I'm talking about mammals, I'll click on select. So I have different questions here. Rabbit is, okay, list 5 types of animals and classify them. Find the odd one out. So instead of typing these three questions, I can just click import because I've already created it. Now all of these questions have come up. If there are any changes or if I would like to, yeah, if there are any changes or if I would like to edit it, I can do so. But you can see within just a step, I'm able to import. Let's check the import thing again. All I have to do is click on the import button, choose the form where your questions are there. So here I have one more question or one more file where animals is there or about, so select information. So I'll click on this section or I can choose all the questions that I want and I can just click on import. Now what will happen is all the questions that were there in my form will come up, and if it shows anything like folders are missing, you can click on restore. What it will do is it will just create the folder that was being used. So no worries, you can just click on restore. So you can see all these questions along the sections have come up without much efforts. So that's about import questions. Next thing is I also told you we can make Google Forms engaging, right? I've been telling you we can make Google Forms engaging. Now, how can we make it engaging? By adding multimedia. And how can we add multimedia? Let's check it out now. Okay, I'll come back here. So I want to add some piece of text. Now, this text is not questions. Let's say it's a paragraph or a comprehension question or whatever is there. Let's say instructions or a story. Instead of adding it like a question, I can add it as text because it doesn't have scoring. It's just a piece of text. I can add it here. Text. And here I can type text. In the same way, if I'd like to add additional information such as a picture, I can also add a picture. So let's say you want to wish all the best or you want to add, since this quiz is about mammals, I can add some pictures of mammals so that Instead of me giving clues, I'm just telling them that this is about mammals, and just by looking that picture, maybe they'll recall some questions, or sorry, concepts. So let's say I am just giving this picture for my students. I'm not giving them any clues. I'm just this picture is just for them to know. Okay, this is about mammals. Okay, so this is how you can add pictures. You just have to click on add image. Now, when you want to add image, there are some interesting options. Either you can upload it from your computer, or you can directly do a Google search. So let's say I want to add a picture of a rabbit. I'll just search for rabbit, click on a rabbit, click on insert. So instead of me uploading, adding, doing all of that, the picture will directly get uploaded. So that's about adding pictures. Now let's see how to add videos. Now let me tell you how can videos, or why should videos be there in a Google form. Until here, does anybody have any doubts? So let's take this question. Before I move on to why should we add videos, because this will also cover the concept of flipped classroom. So before that, I want to see if there are any questions. Please type in any questions if you have. I would like to learn about self-scoring assessment. I believe it is about giving right answers in a file and the assessment happen automatically. Yes, it is about giving the right answers, but we will not do it in a file. We will be giving the right answers along with the questions. So I'll show you that as well. Any other questions? So hope, Natasha, I have cleared your question. We will be seeing what is a self-scoring quiz. We will not be attaching it in a file or giving it in a separate file. We will give the answers along with the question. Languages are allowed. Yes, we can also type in different languages. I will also show. We need a separate extension, which is a Google Chrome extension. Using that, we'll be able to type in different languages. So I hope that's about the questions that we have. Any other doubts? All right, let's move to the next part, that is adding a video. Now, let's say I'm talking about mammals, and I'd like to introduce a concept. Since we all, I think most of our classes have cut down or sized down in terms of time, that amount of time we are spending with children. We earlier we had around 6 classes for our subject per week, right? Or probably less or more than that. It must have been cut down by half because of this online classes, because the duration is has been cut down, and in turn the number of classes that we take per week have also cut down. To cover concepts that are bridging, or to revise few concepts that are already taught the last year, or if you'd like to brush up a concept that has been done in class but you are afraid that you might not be getting the time to revise this concept or repeat the concept again and again, so in that case we can go for something called as flipped classroom. Now here's a hint, or here's the catch for flipped classroom. It is flipped. Basically, students will be learning and they will be answering on their own. The basic brick and mortar class is where you will come, you'll take the class, and you will explain the class, you will give some notes, and then you will test them somewhere towards the end. Whereas in flipped classroom, it's more like a self-study concept, but provided it is not completely self-study. The teacher gives them all the material, videos, instructions, and once they come back to the class, they look at the all materials like pictures, videos, documents, whatever is required, you will give it to them. And when they come back to the class, they'll have doubts. You will explain them the doubts that they have. So basically, if it's a concept that they already know, or it's a bridging concept, or something that's related to real life and it's pretty easy for them to, understand it, you can give it in the form of a flipped class. Now you can add, let's say I'm talking about rabbits. My students are young learners, let's say grade 1. I'm giving them a picture of rabbit. So I'm giving the spelling here as well, rabbit. I can add a video talking about rabbits. So I can add a YouTube video. So about rabbit. Learn about rabbit for kids. Let's say I've already looked at it, I have screened it, I have selected this video. So it's a 2-minute video. So this video I can also enlarge, so that since they are young learners, they'd require to look at it carefully. So I'll increase the size of the video. So yes, they can watch this video. So I'm giving the instruction, watch this video. And based on this video, I can also ask some questions. So how many years does a rabbit? So simple question. We usually take 20 minutes to introduce a new topic, or 20 or 30 minutes. So what you can do is, since the number of hours have decreased in online classes, you can cover that easy part as a homework or as a flipped class, and you can share it with them. Now, when they preview, so let's come back here towards the end. Okay. Let me remove these sections. Okay. Yeah. So file, whatever it is, let me fill this quickly so that I can go back to the last one. So this is how they upload. Just giving some sample answers. Since I've given all the questions as mandatory, I will have to compulsorily choose the answer. Otherwise, I will not be able to go to the next page. So remember, whenever you are typing anything or choosing a question as mandatory, it has to be answered by the students. I can go to next. This is the concept of sections that's coming up. So don't worry if you are thinking, okay, what are these pages coming as next and all. So you can see here I have created information on birds. This is also an example of flipped class. If I want to teach my students, let's say grade 4 or 5 or any grade about birds, so I've given them a picture. They can watch this video. So next day when they're coming to class, I'm not telling that I'm going to skip the whole lesson tomorrow, but they're having some information before they're entering my class. So when next time they're entering my class, they know what I'm going to teach. They have their inputs already, and they'll be able to better engage in the class. Also, since they are learning something in the before the concept itself, before the class itself, they'll be more engaged, or they'll be having more confidence. So they have learned about birds. So this is one section. So here they can also they can also answer questions. So there are different questions here. So here, again, rabbit, this is the picture that we have added. This is the video. And after the video, you can add some questions so that whatever they have learned, they can check their understandings as well. So that's about flipped class and how to add videos and how to add multimedia. Let's see if there are any questions about this. Okay. Now let's see how students can play the video. They just have to click on the video. The YouTube video will play here itself. They will not be redirecting anywhere else. They'll just be watching the video here itself. So there is also one thing that we are doing. Remember, if you want to share any YouTube video, you might be feeling that, okay, what if they see something else, or what if they redirect to something and an inappropriate video pops up? We all have that fear, right? That is also cut down here. So when you are sharing something, they'll watch the video here itself. They'll not go to YouTube and they'll not watch there. They can just watch it from here, unless they click on this and they go to the YouTube, and that they can do anywhere, anyhow, because that's something that's basic. But from your end, you are restricting that they'll watch the video here itself instead of them searching for something on YouTube. So yes, that's about adding a YouTube video to your Google Forms. And that's also about flipped classrooms. Okay. Now, coming back to the next question, that is, a lot of you have, or even in the registration form, some of you have asked about self-scoring quiz. Now let's create a self-scoring quiz. Since in the earlier form I've added a lot of questions, it will be confusing. So let me start with a fresh form. So we've seen about different types of questions. We've seen about how to add multimedia. We've seen about, what do we say, flipped class. Is everybody clear till here? Yes? Or you can raise your hand if you are all clear. Or you can type yes in the chat box as well. All right. Okay, now let's check how to create a self-scoring quiz. So I'll create a blank form. Okay. If I know that, okay, this is going to be a quiz, I'll go to the settings option. Okay. Click on the settings option. So settings is here on the top. Questions, responses, settings. So just click on settings. Make this a quiz. Now, when you turn it into a quiz, what will happen is it will have score for each question. Earlier, it was not asking me for how many points it is, but here it's going to turn it into a quiz. That is, each question will have some points. We have to assign some points. You can choose the quiz to have two forms. It can either be an immediate self-scoring quiz, that is, if you have given the correct answers for if you have given the answer key for all the questions, it can immediately tell the score to the students. Otherwise, if you remember, we had a question where students are attaching pictures of their answers. There, it will require your manual review, right? So then you can choose manual review. Two types. If it is all multiple choice, or if it is just, checkbox type of thing, multiple, what do we say, MCQs, then you can make it as self-scoring. That is immediately after each submission. If it has something as drawing diagrams, writing the answers in a paper and clicking, or writing paragraphs where you have different specifications for scoring, then make it as later after manual review. This is one thing. Okay. Next is, when the students get the answers or when they get their scores, they will be able to see missed questions, what answers were correct, what answers, or how many points did they get for each question. Everything will be seen. You can also keep the default question point value. That is, if your question paper or if your quiz is for 10 marks and you have 10 questions, that means each question is for 10 marks. Or if I have 5 questions and the quiz is for 10 marks, that means it is for 2 points, right? So I can keep it as 2. So I can also choose how much does each question weigh. That is, what is the weightage of each question I can choose. Okay, this is the basic thing. Now come back to questions. It will all be same. The only thing you will see extra is answer key here. Somebody was asking about self-scoring quiz, right? Yes, this is for them. I would like you to, look at it carefully. So my question, let's keep it simple. 4 plus 5 or 4 plus 9. Option 1, 13. Option 2, 14. Option, say, let's say something, JK, something I'm doing, or now the answer is 13. So to make sure I'm giving the answer key, I have to just click on answer key. Now I have given the question. I know that it's multiple choice, that is MCQ. They have to choose the correct answer. I've given the options. Now I have to tell Google Forms what is the answer key. So I'll click on answer key and I'll tell this is the correct answer. So whichever is the correct answer, I will just select it. You can see this tick here that tells that this is the answer key. You can also give an answer feedback. Okay. If somebody has given incorrect answer, I can tell them, no, 4 plus 9 is 13. Watch this video and relearn addition. Okay, so if somebody has given wrong answer, they will get this feedback. No, 4 plus 9 is 13. And along with that, you as a teacher can help them. Okay, you can give them a YouTube video where they can learn about addition so that they can revise. You're not just telling them that they're wrong, but you're also giving them help. So let's say I'll choose this small 4 minutes video. Or let's say you have a material, okay? Since I've already taught this in the class, let's say I have a PDF or a PPT. I can just add the link here and add it. So I don't have, okay, let's say I'll just take this PPT. Okay. I can give any link here, material, and I can give them. So this is very helpful if you are conducting revisions, if you are a coaching center, or if you are, a core subject like math, science, English, where you teach multiple topics and they have to keep track of it. So instead of telling them no, you're wrong, you're also giving them help. Okay, this is the feedback for incorrect answers. Now, what will you do for correct answers? You can also give them positive feedback. Good job. If you want, you can. Yes. If you want, you can also attach file and video for them, but otherwise, yeah, save. So feedback for correct answers would be good job, and if whoever answers wrong, they will get a video, as well as you will tell them that no, this was wrong. So you can see this is how you do a self-scoring quiz. Let me do this one more time. For those of you who are new, let me do this one more time. This is Apple. So let's say I'm a language teacher. I want them to give the answers in articles. What is it? A and okay. Now, as I told you, you will click on answer key. You can also choose point. Let's say this is for 2 marks. You can also increase the score. Or if this is for 4 marks, I can choose it as 4. And whatever is the correct answer, you have to click on it. It will turn green. So this will check according to this. You can now give an answers feedback. Now, answer feedback is optional. It is not compulsory. If you want, you can skip it. If you want, but it's a great idea to add. You can click on answer feedback. Incorrect. The answer is, or well tried, but the answer is hence it starts with a vowel. So with just one sentence, this whole thing is explained. The whole answer is explained, and whoever is going to take the quiz, the same thing will be sent to them. So your effort is also reduced. Earlier, if you had 10 notebooks, you had to write the same sentence 10 times. But whereas here, each student will be getting this reply. And if you want, you can add video as I've shown you. So small video, 7 minutes. I can just click on select, and the students can also watch this video. In the same way, for correct answers, you can give the feedback. Now I've created a quiz. So okay, let me give the name Quizzy. Now let's review this. Okay, 4 plus 9. Let's say I'll give this wrong answer, and I'll also give a wrong answer here. I'll click on submit. So once the student submits, they can click on view score. So they can see the total points, how much out of 5. Now I've given the wrong answer, right? 4 plus 9, I've given it as 14. Correct answer. So you can see the correct answer is 13. The student will be able to see, okay, the correct answer was 13. Feedback from teacher. No, 4 plus 9 is 13. Watch this video and relearn addition. So they'll be playing this video and learning the concept again. Next, this is an apple. The student has given us A. Correct answer, and since I've given some outdated video, it's coming like this, but you can also uh, select the video previously and keep it ready. Okay. Since I've just randomly selected, this video is not coming up. But that's how you can score a quiz. I hope this was helpful. Whoever has asked the question, I hope this is helpful for them. I think it was Natasha ma'am. Yes. Okay. Next, coming back to the questions, language and mathematical equations. So that's now, as soon as I have got the reply, that is one reply is there, I can see the responses as well. So individual responses, Reshma and Teach and Reach. So this is what the answers that they've given. I'll also give you the responses example soon. But yes. Now, some of you are asking, how should I type in different languages, or how should I use mathematical equations? Let's check that. For that, we would require something called as Chrome extensions. Now that would be covered basically in Google Chrome workshop, but I'll also show you which extensions to use. So we have something called as Google Input Tools. Okay, Google Input Tools is an extension that will help you to type in different languages. I'll have to click on it. I can choose any language that I want. So if I choose this, I'll type here kaise hai. So it will start typing it in English. If I would like to type in Telugu, okay, I will choose the language Telugu here. Ela unnaru. So this, you have almost every language that's present in Google Input Tools. All you have to do is install that extension. Okay, this is for languages. Next thing is we have for math. For math and science, chemistry, physics, we have equations. We have something called as quick equations. That is also a Google Chrome extension. So if you don't know what is Google Chrome extension, you can Google it. Or we also have we have workshops on that as well. So yes, this is already written. So let's say I want to type a square. A, a power a or a power 2. So a square plus b power 2. So you can type it like this and you will just copy and you will paste it here. So that will get pasted here. Where is it? Basically, this gets pasted, but not sure why. Or let me try this. It seems it's not working as usual, but yes, you can use this quick equations extension where you can just copy paste this. Right now, it's not working probably because of my system load or it must be down. But otherwise, you have extensions like these. Quick extensions. Oh, sorry, quick equations is one example, but otherwise, we have different extensions for the same purpose where these extensions will help you type in equations. You have the same for cos theta, sin theta as well. You just have to click for help. You have different shortcuts and you can directly use it. Okay, right now it's not working, or probably it's been long since I have used it. So probably I'll have to delete it and install it again or so. But yes, that's how you enter the equations. I hope. What if I don't want the respondent to know it by themselves? Is there any way for it? Natasha ma'am, can you explain it? You can unmute and let me know your doubt. You don't want.
Good evening, Ms. Reshma. The
Yes, ma'am.
session has been fantastic. My question is, for example, like I am an academic manager, so
Okay.
accordingly, I'm trying to explain that, for example,
Mhm.
I have given a training for, like, say, 7 months back, and now I just want to see how much the teacher has been able to retain. So accordingly, I will again maybe give her a induction. So I don't want her to know by herself that where she is doing, where she is going wrong. So is
Okay,
there
then
any
you
way?
can, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
as I told you. Then what you can do is you need not keep it as a quiz. You need not keep it as a quiz. You will just turn this off. Okay, then you will just get the responses. Or do you want to score it, ma'am? Do you want to score it as well?
Yes, yes, please. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
then okay. If you don't want to score, then you can turn it off as a quiz. In settings, you will not keep it as a quiz. If you want to give the score, but they shouldn't know what is the correct answer and what is the wrong answer, you can just uncheck this. You can just uncheck all of these, and that will do it. Hope that cleared your question.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, any other doubts? So, this is almost the end of the workshop. So, we have seen this. The next thing we'll quickly see is responses, how to manage responses. So, if you have multiple forms or you have a form and there are inputs, so you have given a form, you have shared it, and now you want to see the responses. So, let's say. This was the form where you all entered your email IDs, right? So I can check the responses. So 45 responses. Now I can see who has responded. Whoever has is submitting the form, automatically all their data will come up here. These are their email IDs, and these are some graphs that are there. So most of them are, if you can see, most of them are teachers. So 40% of them are teachers, 20% of them are HODs, some of them are principals. So I can see these are the inputs. So most of them wanted Google Sites, some of them wanted Google Forms and Jamboard. So this is how I can manage my responses. Another thing that I can do is convert this into an Excel sheet. Now you can see, okay, all these images, but I don't want this. I want sheets. So I can click on this green dot, which is Google Sheets. You can see this green icon. I can just click on it and it will convert it into a Google Sheet. Now you can see this has turned into a Google Sheet. Now, if you are if you are an academic coordinator or a teacher who has been using Google Sheets, you will know how to process this. Okay, you will see the information, email address, this is the name, this is the school. So these are the people who have registered, and I can go ahead and use this or follow up with them or send the invites over emails, whatever it is, I can use it. So that's how you can manage your responses. Now the final part is any doubts in responses, how to look at the responses. Any doubts, you can unmute. At this point, since we have come towards the end of the session, I'd like you to unmute. If you have any doubts, you can just unmute and ask, or you can also type it in the chat box.
Is there any option for setting the time for Google Forms?
Yes, we have something called as accepting responses. So when you go to responses, so let's say I have to stop this form. They should not be able to enter anymore. You can just uncheck it. So the form
I mean to
anymore.
say scheduling means scheduling when to start the form and when to end the form. Is there any option available like that?
No, sir. There's no option as such. Only when you start sharing the link, others will be able to see the form. But there's
And
no scheduling it.
I came to know that there is one code. If you type one code for Google Forms, you will get all the answers in one go. Some students are trying like that.
Okay, you mean to, yeah, there's something called as inspect, and then they'll try to find it. But right now, Google has worked on it. There was a bug, or there was a possibility for students to find it by inspecting the elements and then going to console sources. So if you want to know how it is, it was there here earlier. So here they had answer key, but now they have removed it. It's not there. But if they have found another way, I mean, technology has loopholes, but originally they can't. That's what my answer is. They won't be able to find it from code right now because they have Google has worked on it, and right now it's not showing the answer key. I think it was way back last year or 1.5 year back, where some students found out that when they inspect the element they can find the answer key file, but it's not there now.
Thank you. And from Google Forms also, by adding extension, can we send directly results in the form of certificates also to the
Yes,
students?
we have something called as Certify Me. That's an extension that will help you to keep the score. That is, you can give the particular score, and whoever crosses that score or at least gets that score, they'll be getting a certificate. The certificate can also be formatted. That's an advanced concept. Again, we have a course. We'll be covering that in that course. But otherwise, in this workshop, it's not present since this is just getting started. But yes, the name of the extension is Certify Me. If you are looking for the name of the extension, it is Certify Me. Certify M.
Thank you.
Certify. Any other doubts, please? Anybody? Any doubts? We have one more thing. left, that is how to share. Now we have seen how to create a beautiful form, how to add videos, multimedia, a lot of things. Now how would you share it with others? That is, share it with your students. So it's very simple. Go to the form that you have created. So not this. Let's look at the Quizy form. Okay. Let's go back to Quizy. Yes. I'll just have to click on send. Okay. You can either mail it directly to the participants, or you can share it. This is the most used way, that is sharing via link. You also get Google Forms on WhatsApp for surveys, or for feedbacks, or for contests and all of that. How do they do that? They just create a form, click on the link, shorten URL. This will make the URL short. You will just copy it and paste it wherever you want. If you're using a website, you can also embed it. This will be covered in Google Sites workshop. But yes, if you know what is a website and how to embed code, you can just again copy this code and your form will be present there. If you want to share it via link, you can just click on this pin button, shorten URL, copy it, and that's how you can quickly share it. Now you might not be able to open this because I'm using the Teach and Reach company account, so only Teach and Reach project people will be able to open it. But yes, for you, as you'll be using personal accounts, anybody will be able to open it. So they can click on it and they can use the form. Now if you are a school and you have a school domain, you can restrict it to certain people. Okay, so you will be able to restrict. So right now only a few people will be able to open it because I've kept it as, yeah, kept it as Teach and Reach project, so only that will be open for them. So yes, so you can see restrict users in Teach and Reach project and its trusted organization, so only they will be able to open it. If I turn it off, now you will be able to open the form. So that's how. If you are using a school, then you can see the school name, restrict users in ABC school. You can turn it on so that only your school students will be able to open it. So yes, that brings towards the end of the session. So we've covered multiple things. I haven't covered everything, obviously, because it would take time and it would take practice as well for you to know the advanced topics. But I hope I have made Google Forms easy for you, and you know something about Google Form, at least if nothing, you know something about Google Form. You will be able to create a Google Form and use it with your students. So we've seen how to create different types of questions, how to import questions. We have seen how to expect responses. We've seen some settings. We've also seen how to convert a normal questionnaire or normal survey into a quiz. We've also seen about templates. So yes, that brings towards the end of the session. Also, we'll be giving out certificates for the participants. So please enter your email IDs here. I'll be sharing a feedback form. You will have to fill the feedback form, and in the feedback form, we have something called as name to be typed in the certificate, full name or whatever name you would prefer in the certificate. We'll be using that name. So please share your email ID so that I can share the feedback form with you. So yes, I'll be stopping the presentation. I think some of you have joined late. So let me introduce myself again. My name is Reshma. I'm a Google certified educator. I'm conducting these workshops so that it will be helpful for teachers and they in turn can help their students and make most of Google tools basically. All right. So yes. I request everybody to type in their email ID so that it's better. I don't miss out. Even if you have entered in the registration form, how can we get the recording? Yes, the link of it will be again shared with you. So please enter your email IDs. It'll be mailed to you. Again, this recording will be for a limited period. So if you would like to take notes or if you'd like to, learn or practice, do it as soon as possible. thank you for joining in. Thank you for spending, investing your time in this workshop. And if anybody is from schools, we also conduct school trainings. So if you be interested in a whole school training, you can mail me.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.